Oh, yeah. I came home around midnight, still wearing my office clothes. Dropped my keys beside the doorway and instantly knew something felt wrong. Half the living room was empty, pictures missing from the walls. The silence inside that apartment hit harder than any goodbye. No screaming, no dramatic ending, just quiet evidence that love was gone. The night she moved out, the apartment looked bigger somehow, like losing a creative space. Nothing else could feel again. Her toothbrush still sat beside mine in the bathroom by the sink, but she was already somewhere else, learning how to live without me. The closet door stayed half open, a few hangers swinging slowly, like even the room itself hadn't accepted she was gone yet. I found a note beside the coffee machine. I can't keep feeling alone next to someone. And God, I finally understood what she meant. Funny how people don't always leave suddenly. Sometimes they disappear emotionally first, long before the boxes ever leave the apartment. Now every room echoes differently, every light feels colder at night, and I still avoid sleeping on her side, like pain has physical boundaries. 'Cause the hardest part about the evening wasn't the thing she took away, it was realizing how long I'd already been losing her before that night. There was no other person, no cheating, no betrayal at all. But every time I felt broken, you said I was overthinking. I told you about my worst days, but silence was all I received. Sometimes I wondered, was this love or endurance? I never needed you to fix everything, I just needed someone to listen. But slowly I realized my sadness became a burden to you. I didn't leave because love was gone, I left because I was too tired to keep trying. Every time I cried, you said you think too much. You never knew careless words could hurt someone for so long, until one day I stopped wanting to tell you what was breaking my heart. Oh, I learned to act strong around you, smiling like everything was fine. Because every time I showed weakness, I felt too sensitive in your eyes. Love should be a place to come home to, not somewhere that makes you lonelier. Being beside someone, yet I saw you crossing downtown yesterday, hair falling exactly the same way, still laughing with your whole heart like you always used to with me. For 1 second time stopped moving, and every memory came rushing back, until I noticed somebody else holding your hand beside you. And suddenly it hit me harder than the breakup ever did. 'Cause you're not hurt anymore, not the girl who called me every night, not the one who wore my hoodie home or kissed me at red lights. You still have the same smile, same eyes I once got lost inside, but now they look at somebody else the way they used to look at me. You waved politely when you saw me, like strangers with old history, and God, the tiny moment hurt more than months of silence did. He whispered something that made you laugh, and I hated how natural it looked, like the universe already replaced me without asking if I was ready. Nobody warns you that one day the person you loved most will become someone you barely recognize, even while looking exactly the same. So I stood there watching you disappear into a life that no longer included me, realizing healing isn't forgetting someone, it's accepting they belong elsewhere now. And maybe that's the cruelest part of moving on. Not that love disappears, but that one day the person you love becomes somebody else's home. Back then, just seeing you could make all my worries disappear. Even simple walks felt beautiful as long as you were there beside me. We used to stay awake talking all night, laughing at the smallest things. Love felt so easy back then, like nothing could ever change us. But time quietly pulled us apart without either of us noticing, until every meeting became filled with silence and exhaustion. We both changed, we're not the same people anymore. Now every conversation turns into arguments, neither of us trying to understand. There was no other person, no betrayal between us, just two hearts once perfectly aligned, now lost somewhere in life. night you cried over something small I forgot. You were never this fragile before. Maybe we've simply hurt each other too much. Some careless words slipped out, leaving wounds neither of us admitted. We held on to our pride too tightly and lost the thing that mattered most. The saddest thing isn't falling out of love, it's still loving someone, but no longer being able to stay together. Because the harder we try to hold on, the more we hurt each other. Feels like the source of every ache. Maybe love didn't end because we stopped caring. Maybe we just became too different. Neither of us was wrong. We simply no longer fit like we used to. 5 years beside you, yet I never noticed the little things that made you smile or cry. You stayed quiet whenever you were hurting, because you knew I wouldn't truly understand. I got too used to you staying, too used to you forgiving everything, until someone else came into your life and cared about the things I kept ignoring. He knew exactly when you were about to cry, knew your comfort food whenever you felt down, while I, after all those years beside you, still never fully understood your heart. The one after me understood you better, and that hurts more than losing you, because I truly believe loving you was enough to make you stay. On the day we said goodbye, you looked at me with tears in your eyes and said, "It's not that I stopped loving you. Someone else just made me feel more loved." And for the first time in my life, I realized how painful neglect can be. Now I remember all your little habits, how you pretended to be strong when you were hurting, how badly you needed me sometimes during the hardest moments of your life. The saddest part is, it only took simple things caring message, a warm hug at the right time, things I should have done long ago. The worst pain isn't that you love someone else now, it's knowing he treated you better than I ever did. That's when I learned love isn't about how long you stay, but how loved you make someone feel. If I could go back to those years, I would learn how to love you the right way. I wouldn't let the girl who loved me the most feel lonely inside our relationship. But now you smile brighter than before beside someone who understands you better. And all I can do is watch quietly, blaming myself for being careless too long. Because the most painful truth is the one who came after me understood you better than I ever did. Back then we loved with all we had, in a tiny room chasing better days. I was stuck between unfinished dreams while you were lost in fears of growing up. Every time we passed a wedding shop, you'd smile and talk about the future. I stayed silent and looked away, 'cause all I had were promises. We never stopped loving each other, life just got too heavy to hold. Two young hearts full of pressure, not knowing how to save what we had. Maybe we were the right people at the wrong time. I wasn't strong enough to give you peace, and you weren't ready to walk through the storms with me. And every fight became about money, about work, about dreams, about tomorrow. We hurt each other with words we never meant, until love was no longer enough to make us stay. Years later we met again by chance at the cafe where we used to sit. You look calmer than before, and I finally look like someone with direction. We talk like strangers with old memories, but our eyes still carried unfinished feelings. 'Cause deep inside both of us, there's still someone we never truly forgot. Some people are meant for each other, but life brings them together too early. So in the end, all that's left is regret instead of forever. If I met you later in life, when I was finally stable enough, and you were strong enough to understand my struggles, maybe we would have had a different ending. But you've never give second chances. Now all we can do is look at each other quietly, carrying the most beautiful love we ever had, and walk past each other one more time. Because the saddest thing isn't loving someone, it's still loving them when they no longer belong to you anymore. hanging pictures on your wall. 6 years answering questions at Christmas dinners. Your mom already called me family, and my friends thought we'd last forever. I talked about rings and little houses. You joked about baby names sometimes, but every future I tried to hold on to always ended with the same line: baby, just give me more time. You said it like love could wait forever, while I slowly learned waiting hurts more than goodbye. He wasn't ready, not for forever, not for promises, not for the life we spent 6 years dreaming of. So I kept loving somebody who always needed a little more time. And now there's another man holding the future you once delayed. Funny how people become ready right after they lose everything. I stopped bringing up weddings after a while, stopped sending you apartment listings too, started pretending I was okay with loving someone uncertain. Then one night across a crowded restaurant, you stared at the ring on my hand too long, and I saw regret hit your eyes before you forced yourself to smile. You finally called me crying, saying I'm ready now, please come home. But timing can destroy your love story, even when the feelings are real. He wasn't ready till somebody else was standing beside me, till another name became my forever, and yours became a memory. Now every lonely night probably sounds like the future you once ran away from. 'Cause the saddest kind of heartbreak is loving too late. Yeah, yeah. She needed someone to hold her on nights when the world felt too heavy. Needed late night phone calls and reassurance without asking twice. But I was still learning how to love, still fighting wars inside myself, thinking one day I'll become the man she deserves, without realizing she needed me now. I kept saying, please just give me time, while the heart slowly got tired of waiting to feel chosen. She needed love, and I needed time. That's how two people who cared so deeply still ended up saying goodbye. 'Cause timing can ruin something beautiful, even when the feelings are real. And sometimes the saddest love stories are the ones that almost work. She cried quietly beside me sometimes, while I pretended not to notice. Not because I didn't care, but because I didn't know how yet. By the time I learned softness, learned patience, learned communication, she had already taught herself how to live without me. Funny how growing up works. Some people become better lovers right after losing the person who needed that version of them most. But now she's probably somewhere loved correctly by someone emotionally ready, while I replay old conversations, trying to rewrite the ending. But life doesn't wait for people to mature, and hearts eventually stop hoping, 'cause she needed love in the present, while I kept promising the future. I used to leave before sunrise, coffee cold beside the sink. You still be half asleep asking, will you be home tonight? I always said, I'm doing this for us, baby. Like working late could somehow replace actually being there. I thought love meant building a future, so I kept chasing bigger paychecks, while you were quietly drowning inside the present without me. I was too busy trying to give you a better life that I forgot to give you my time, buying dreams for tomorrow, while you cried alone tonight. And by the time I looked up from my ambitions, you were already emotionally gone. Funny how some people lose love, not from failure, but from absence. You started eating dinner without me, started sleeping before I got home. Your laugh slowly disappeared from the apartment we once loved. I noticed too late the flowers didn't fix the loneliness, and expensive gifts can't hold somebody the way attention can. Success sounds beautiful in conversations until you realize it wasn't beside you the moment you finally achieved it. Now the money's finally good, the apartment's bigger than we dreamed, but every room it goes differently without your voice inside it. 'Cause I spent years building a future, thinking love would patiently wait, never realizing you needed me in the present. I used to think as long as you stayed, we would never truly lose each other. So I kept hurting you carelessly, without seeing how lonely you had become. There were nights I made you wait too long, messages I read but never answered. You were more patient with me than anyone else. I just never realized it back then. Only after your voice disappeared from my room did I realize who mattered most. But sadly, people who've been hurt too deeply rarely come back again. Please don't love someone like me again, someone careless who always keeps you waiting. Don't love someone who only learns regret after losing the most precious thing in life. You deserve someone better than I was, someone who always chooses you first, someone who won't let you cry in silence the way I once did. And now I finally understand how to care, how terrifying it feels to lose someone. But every lesson came too late, after you were already gone. I thought growing up and chasing success, but in the end I learned the hardest thing in life is keeping the person who truly loves you. Some apologies, no matter how sincere, can never heal wounds that lasted far too long. Someone new entered your life someday, I hope they love you more gently than I did. I hope they never leave you waiting through lonely nights, or make you feel unwanted ever again. And I'll carry this regret for a very long time, as the lesson life forced me to learn that sometimes we become careless while someone is still beside us, and only